Now, I had my say at the top of the program about what's been another terrible day for Anthony Albanese on the campaign trail, where he's made another blunder on an absolutely crucial policy issue for this country, border protection. Anthony Albanese was asked about whether he would maintain boat turnbacks and offshore processing. Here's what he said.
We'll turn boats back. Turning boats back means that you don't need offshore detention.
That's what he said in the morning. A couple of hours later, he clarified at lunchtime that he still supported offshore protection. Let's go to the minister in charge of this area now. The Home Affairs Minister, Karen Andrews, joins us live from Brisbane. Thanks for joining us, Karen. What is wrong with that first formulation from Anthony Albanese? If he can turn back all the boats, sure, he wouldn't need offshore processing.
Well, the flip-flopping from Mr Albanese today has been absolutely staggering. So I was horrified when I heard him make that statement this morning. It's clear that he doesn't understand what border protection policy is all about. Stopping the boats, doing turnbacks is a key part of the border protection policy that has kept our borders safe and secure for such a long time now, in fact, since Labor was last in government. So to say that if you turn back boats, you don't need to have regional processing, regional detention, effectively is cutting out one of the most significant pillars of the border protection policy that has been so successful. Now, the question is, did he make a blunder, or did he say what he would do if he was ever elected and became Prime Minister of this country? I think that whilst he may have scurried back later and had a few things to say to try and salvage a situation, the obvious question to all Australians is, firstly, who is this man? What does he stand for? And is what he stood for yesterday the same as what it will be today or tomorrow? But our border protection policies are something that you can't have someone who is incompetent in charge of. It's just so clear. Now, when he made the error
to key economic indicators, he tried to wave it away by saying, it's a mistake, people don't die, didn't die. Well, if you get border protection policy wrong, people do die. People did die under the last Labor government that we had here. So he's messing around.
I think it's clear he doesn't understand this area, doesn't understand you need the whole suite of policies to deter this practice. If you leave an opening, people will exploit it, and it's impossible to actually turn all boats back. It's best when you do, but it's impossible to do that. So he doesn't understand it, but he's not the person who would have to make the decision. At the moment, it would be Christina Keneally. And look, in this area, you also need to be incredibly tough. You'll get a lot of abuse. You need strong character. You haven't had to do that, I don't think, in your term as minister, actually make those decisions about turning boats back, sending people into offshore processing. But certainly Peter Dutton and Scott Morrison did have to do that. Do you think that Christina Keneally and Anthony Albanese would have that strength of character to make what are really tough decisions?
Well, I don't think they have the policy commitment from Labor to be able to do it in the first instance. In my case, I have been very clear since day one that I will not have people die on my watch. And I absolutely mean that. And if that means turning boats around, I will do it without hesitation. So no issues at all with that from me. It's not clear what Labor's position is. They flip-flop all the time. Mr Albanese flip-flops, from hour to hour now. It's not just days. Now, he said very clearly he was happy to talk about when he was Deputy Prime Minister in 2013 and try and make claim that he understood what border protection was all about. Well, back under those days, under the Labor government, 50,000 people arrived illegally, 800 boats plus came in here, 1,200 people died. So is he going to own that, or does he just want the nice parts of when he was DPM?
Well, also back then they said you physically could not turn back boats and it would start conflict with Indonesia. So it is an absolute mess. Thanks for clarifying your position with us, Karen. I appreciate your time.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Karen Andrews, they're the Home Affairs Minister. Now, if you're going to criticise the coalition government about the way they've handled this, it's that they've taken too long to resettle those people who've been in detention right up until recent weeks. Some people still in detention. It's very difficult to resettle them. And I agree that everything should be done to do that as quickly as possible. But in the end, The last thing you want to do is take any risk about opening up that evil trade again. Just when you finally get everybody out of detention, allowing more to go into it. That would be an absolute tragedy for this country.